Hey everybody, it is Lauren DeLisa Coleman for the Inside series here at Filmio, and I have another great interview to bring you from the Harlem International Film Festival. This is just post-festival, so it's kind of good because we get some kind of behind the scenes info on how these filmmakers thought that the whole festival went in addition to everything else. So please join me in welcoming John Janon and James Ward, who are respectively, first John, co-producer and composer, and then James, lead co-producer and co-writer on a film. I just want to make sure I get the order right. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. You guys, thank you so much for taking out the time to do this interview. I'm just so excited because offline we were talking about how they know some of the Filmio crew already. We will leave that for another time. But right now, you guys, again, thanks so much for joining us. Give us, please, a quick synopsis of the film so we can kind of get into the whole journey around this.
Synopsis of the film. It's about a couple that got together about 7 years before kind of COVID is in its height. And the film actually just takes place the first day that they met and then the last day when they break up. But the in-between of what happens is kind of the unfolding as we go along in the film. The filmmaker does a really great job of cutting back and forth from, 7 years before and then to 7 years after. And, we take into a lot of consideration what's going on during the time of COVID, because we actually shot it during COVID. And it deals with, issues of race, issues of politics, relationships, communications, miscommunications and things. And it's just a kind of a different look at relationships, especially doing it from the first day they meet only, and then the last day they break up. And, it's kind of creative and really nice the way they put that all together.
Thank you so much for that. So I have a million different questions about this. First of all, I love how you kind of frame this as a tragic comedy, right? So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that term. I'm thinking about when I interviewed a filmmaker several months ago who was, I forget the exact name of the film, but it was taking place deep in the hood, in Compton, and just some of the things that were happening. And he was calling it or creating a different type of genre called tragicomedy, right? Because he felt that a lot of what people in that part of the country go through is very traumatic, but can still find a lot of comedy from it, right? So it's even more than, other like maybe lighthearted, like a dramedy, right? So tell me now about tragicomedy.
Yeah, it's a tragic story in the sense that they break up and how they get together and everything is so lovely and all. And then at the end, they ultimately break up. And then the comedy of it all is, I don't want to give it away, but there's just, a few lines and just a few scenarios where it's serious, but then there's a little bit of lighthearted comedy in it, if you can kind of, catch that. And because I'm Black and my co-star is a white woman, that kind of balance in between there kind of created a little bit of that tragic comedy. It's one of those films that you really have to kind of look and piece together what's going on. But, the love that they have, or the love from my perspective, and trying to figure out what, the reason why we're breaking up, or, the reason why it's all coming to an end, just kind of creates this tension. And it's kind of pretty apparent when you see it.
So now tell me a little bit about how you both came together on this project, because I'm sorry, John, did you want to add something?
Yeah.
I'll add it because I can add it as part of the answer to your next question.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe perfect segue. I was about to say, tell me a little bit about how you both came together, because you're both, kind of very accomplished in your areas. So tell my viewers a little bit about, your backgrounds and then how you came together on this particular project.
Sure. Well, the leader and the instigator of the project, who unfortunately can't be with us today because she's DPing a feature down in Florida, is Niamh Conti. And she is writer, director, DP, and editor on this project. And part of the answer to your last question, why is it a tragicomedy, is Niamh is known for making very dark films about poverty and addiction and like hard to watch dark films. And here we were, our previous film that we had worked on together had just been released and COVID hit. And we're like, what are we going to do while we're in quarantine? Well, let's make another film, but it's got to be a little bit lighter. We can't go into that dark space that Niamh loves to explore in her films. We need something that's a little bit lighter, but it's also a dark time. The title of the film, "Person, Woman, Camera, Man, TV," is a Donald Trump quote, and it ties into.
Well,
the
I was
story
actually going to ask next, how did you decide on that title? Because it is a bit of a mouthful. So, okay, tell me that Donald Trump said this. Okay, tell me everything.
Well, there was an interview done by an NYU professor. Trump had taken a cognitive test, and part of the cognitive test was to remember these 5 words in order. And he was very, very proud of the fact that he remembered them in order. And when he was asked again at the end of the interview, he could still remember them in order. So he considered this a mark of his great, great intelligence. And it's become a joke. It still pops up on Twitter all the time. So we decided we were going to make this project.
That, but there was so much content, shall we say, during the 4 years, that certain things stick out for different people. But thanks for clarifying. Oh my gosh.
So Niamh and I are like, all right, let's make a film. How are we going to make a film in this pandemic? And we said, well, it's going to have to be really small. It's going to have to be shot in quarantine. We were out here in the woods of Pennsylvania. I said, we're going to have to use what's available to us. And we called up Estelle, who's also not able to be with us today, and said, Estelle, we're doing this film. We're reworking a script from that Niamh had from 10 years ago. We're gonna write it into, it was a short, we're gonna write it into a feature. Do you know an actor who would be great for this? And she was like, absolutely, Jay Ward. Niamh auditioned Jay, cast in the role. I saw Jay's headshot. I'm like, that guy looks really familiar. And turns out we both went to Colgate University, graduated the same year. So the 4 of us, for a month, living together, shooting together out in the woods of Pennsylvania, and me getting to get see Jay again after decades, was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I just love that whole story.
Yeah, it was great. And I was sheltering in place in Michigan. I live in New York, but we were in Michigan sheltering in place. And I got a call and like, you want to do this project? And I was like, yeah. So we, within, about a month of rehearsal and phone call, working out the script and improvising the second part of the script and things, then we just went and shot it for, the first shoot was like 3 weeks long, which took place showing the when we first got together. No, I'm sorry. It's actually when we broke up. The first shoot was when we broke up. So it was like all night shoots, and so we did that for 3 weeks. We went back home for about 2 weeks. We calibrated and then came back for the second part, which was when we first met, which was all day shoots. And so it was really a quick process. It was all hands on deck. Kind of not guerrilla style, but you could kind of call it guerrilla style because we were all taking care of it. It wasn't a big crew at all. It was just us doing it. So it was really fun.
So I'm curious though, when you are, I could see juggling multiple roles on a film project, and that kind of, being crazy all by itself, but also very rewarding. Is it hard to do that, James, when you are also acting, though, because you kind of have to divorce yourself, that particular role in the film? You have to kind of divorce yourself from the producing side, the writing side, whatever. Do they bleed, kind of into each other? Is it hard to kind of keep that separation when it comes to actually, acting, right? I'm just kind of really curious about that. Even as you're writing, are you thinking about it from a writer's point of view, or like as you will act it, or kind of both? How does that work in your mind?
Well, the the improv process that we used to write, it was just more of like, as an actor, Estelle and I were just working and improving these scenes and just creating these scenes just by improving. And then Niamh would write that down and then expand upon it or add to it or take away from it. And so that in that part, it was just like, okay, we're acting, we're just improving, and okay, fine. So it wasn't like really like writing, so to speak. But then when it comes down to shooting on set and all, yeah, we shoot scenes and then, we all have to make, Niamh is was the sole person, and John taking care of the set, but us as well, Estelle and us as well. But when it came down to the shoot and the lighting and the microphone and just all the little things, John and Niamh are running around, whereas, Estelle and I are just sitting there in front of the camera waiting. But when we had to do the prep and things, we still have to prep scenes. The set design was absolutely great, but it was also very complex. So trying to keep things in order to, consistency, to make sure things were consistent when we moved things. So you couldn't touch anything, but we all had to be aware of like, oh no, this is here, this is here. So it was definitely a lot, but it was great because it was like filmmaking 101. I mean, you have your hands in it, you're acting in it, you're producing it. You just really feel involved, and it was just, really fulfilling. On top of the relationships that we all had to deal with, us four in a, small place, living with each other, that got kind of difficult at times and things, but it was a great safe space for us to express ourselves and get out what we had to get, especially, the film dealt with a lot of issues as far as race and politics and things. So it was good for all of us to be able to express.
I love that. And then, John, from your point of view, and I wrote this down because it just really struck me, about your teaching experience at Brooklyn College in sound, and I believe, if I can read my own handwriting, emerging media. So tell me about that, and maybe how that kind of, I guess, background and expertise affected either, your composing, this particular, film, and so much more. I'm so curious about that because I didn't even know that kind of title really, exists at Brooklyn College. So I love that because, our viewers know I'm a huge, crazy, stupid fan of anything emerging tech and media. So emerging media, I'm like, okay, give it to me. Like, tell me everything.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I've been teaching at Brooklyn College. This is going to be my 21st year on the faculty.
No way. Congratulations.
Thank you. And my background is in music composition, specifically electronic music composition, video projection design for theater and dance, interactive technology, wearable technology, and these are all pretty common things to be into now. I was into this stuff in the at its very inception in the 80s and 90s, and it's always been my field. That's why I'm familiar with Filmio and like this whole explosion of new technology that's happening right now is kind of what I've been waiting for and like thinking about my whole career. So film production is actually pretty new for me. Most of my work had been in the digital field previously, but it does show up a lot in the film. It shows up in the design of the film. I did, in addition to composer and producer, I also did the visual effects, and my composition is all done electronically. And also there's some nods to it in the in the production design and in the somewhat experimental way the film is edited. I worked very closely with Niamh on the editing of the film. So it's I'm new as a producer. This is the second feature I've produced, but also, as you pointed out, weaving in this other background in the arts that I have, and seeing how that, just learning how that influences a film and changes a film and adds a dimension to a film.
I love how you kind of, and the DP who is not present at the moment, how you've kind of just wonderfully woven together very kind of different levels of talent, and then created something really quite special. When you guys were all working together and maybe nearing the end of the 4 months and trying not to kill each other, did you anticipate showing this at the Harlem International Film Festival? I'm just kind of curious how that came about.
John might be able to better answer that. We
Sure.
do not know about festivals or anything, but I know Niamh and John are on top of all that.
Yeah, we were very pleased to premiere at Cinequest Film Festival, which is also where our last film premiered. And then, Harlem was really one of the top festivals we wanted to get into, because that's all of our home base, New York City. And, because it is a film that deals with race, we really wanted it to be present in the Harlem Film Festival, and we're delighted that we were a selection.
And I live in Harlem.
Were you able to both attend physically, or did you only attend offline?
Just offline. Just offline for myself. There was an event, the red carpet event on May 5th, but that was my birthday, so I wasn't able to show up. But
happy belated birthday. Yeah. I think you're a Taurus, so coolness. Yes, so what was the experience like for you guys off online? Because I know that a lot of people have said that they actually prefer that experience in a way as filmmakers, so that they can actually watch, more films, and it's quiet and they can get, deep into it. Many people kind of miss, of course, the aspect of bumping into people, these random kind of meetings, et cetera, that happen during festivals. I'd love to know from each of you, what was it like from your perspective?
I like online festivals, and I love the world of COVID. And you work from home, you do your own thing, and I love when I watch a movie. I always like to rewind, because oh wow, what did they really say there? Or wow, look at that scene, or whatever. So it's great that you can rewind and take your time with the movie. And I just think that this new world of working from home, it's just more. You have more energy to do other things for yourself. You still get to meet people as you can on Facebook or what have you, but I'm more of the online movie viewer myself.
Interesting. John, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, miss the in-person festivals, and particularly because I'm a new producer, and COVID literally hit during the premiere of our previous film, Small Time, in the spring of 2020. We had just had our premiere, and the festival shut down halfway through. And so the entire festival run of that film, and now the majority of the festival run of this film, I'm just not getting to go to these festivals, which I was super excited about. But
hopefully
on the
positive, the third one has got to be
the third film,
right?
But the nice thing about the online festivals is a lot more people get to see the film before it gets to the streaming platforms.
Right.
So we were able to. We have people watching the film all over the States in the Harlem Film Festival, where the online portion is actually still up until the 15th. So lots of people are going to get to see this film before we go through the whole process of getting distribution and ending up on Amazon and other streaming platforms. It just it provides a great access that the in-person festivals don't, unless they have an online component.
Great. Well, I guess just kind of a last quick question, because, as emerging media like specialists, what do you think are maybe key trends that we should look out for? I mean, things that maybe you saw or talked about in the 80s that we still have yet to see, kind of even happening even now. Anything that kind of is just something that still excites you?
Yeah, I mean, I have a pet side project, and rather than being a purely experimental idea, I think it has the potential for real application in commercial film and television, which is the fact that all the scenes and all the shots in a piece of media are locked in by the editor and in a preset order and of a preset duration before they're watched. That's kind of like an echo of an old technological limitation. There's no reason through AI, even quite simple AI, that one couldn't create multiple pathways through a film. And a person, when they sat down to watch, could say, please show me the 20-minute version of this film. And in real time, the system would re-edit down to a 20-minute version. Or wow. I want to see all the extra features, show me a 2.5-hour version of this film. And the system will fill in. And one of the things that got me thinking about this was what happened with Game of Thrones, because that was written as 45-minute episodes, but needed to be produced as hour episodes. And one of the things that people love so much about that show is how much backstory there is and all of these sort of conversations, that fill in information. That was all an accident. They just needed to write 15 minutes more material for every show. I was like, what if you planned to do that? Like, what if you did that ahead of time? And then people could choose to include that or not include it. And everybody would see a slightly different edit of the program. And so this is an idea I've been working on. I've been working on the technology
really
and the conceptualization of it. Yeah, thank you.
So you guys, you heard it here maybe first. So we better wrap up. Anything else that you'd like to add before we close, one? And two, how can we keep up with what each of you is doing and the film and, whether it's across social media or a particular site? Jay, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm kind of old school, so I'm on social media, but I'm like not really on it. You can hit me on Instagram at jward9. Facebook is jward. And I've got Instagram, James L. Ward 3 on Instagram as well.
And the numbers are numbers, right? They're not spelled out.
Yes, the numbers. Yeah, numbers. Yeah. jward 9. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
John?
Yeah, thank you. So the Instagram for the film, if you want to follow us to future festivals, and if you didn't get a chance to see it in Harlem, it is available till May 15th, but then it's going to be in other festivals. That's Person, Woman, Man, Camera, TV, the movie is the kind of lengthy Instagram. And my website is my last name, JANN.ONE. So it's my last name, Janone with a dot before the last three letters. And I just want to quickly say thank you to my son, Cairo, who was our PA. He was the entire crew. It was 5 of us. And of course, a big thanks to director Niav, who's not able to be here, and co-star Estelle.
Yes.
And
Jay, great to see you. Lauren, nice to meet you.
Yes,
absolutely. Yes. You guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with both of you. I wish you continued success. You guys, I hope that you have enjoyed watching this interview. Do follow, et cetera, everything that this team is doing, because I'm sure there's just more fabulousness to come. And speaking of that, we have the very next interview. So don't forget to click on the one right next to this one. More of the Harlem International Film Festival. Actually, that might be our last interview for this particular festival. But then, of course, we have more coming. Cannes is coming up. I am, as always, Lauren DeLisa Coleman for the Inside series here at Filmio. Thank you so much for watching.